Not So Silent. We'll say what you can't. We think we're right, but I wouldn't bet on it. Ooh, today is September 30th. That's the end of the month, and it is our last day to reach the goal of 10 times growth, which we are very, very, very close. I will look and add it all up tonight. We're going to be right on the mark. I think we're going to beat it with today, especially after just the amazing debate that we're going to be talking about. I'm sure you guys are all excited to hear all the reaction to it. Do me a favor to help us today. Put this episode out on Facebook or Twitter. Connect with us on Twitter as well at notsosilentpod, at notsosilentpod. And then, of course, subscribe or follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and the like. All right, well, I got Chris Hurtigan in St. Louis, Sean Phelps in Kansas City joining me today. I am in a different part of my house because I'm on my cell phone because we just lost power, which really sucks. And no, don't let the other guys tell you I don't pay my power bill. I promise I do. All right, so today's show, the big thing that we are going to be doing is debate reactions. I hope everyone has taken a shower after last night. That was a mess. It was about as dirty as it could be. So I had to take 2 showers just to clean myself off after watching that. Hopefully you guys have. So we're going to do our debate reactions. And just like Trump, we have not been talking about this, and we promise we have not prepared. We're going to do some sports updates, some serious or satire, and our top five things to make debates better. Top 5 things to make debates better. And for you, audience, I bet you have some things that you would think could make the debates better. Please send us either an email or, actually better, follow us on Twitter at notsosilentpod and let us know what you think top 5 reasons or top 5 ways to make the debates better. All right, so let's get into it. I'm going to give each of you 2 minutes. You each get 2 minutes. Tell me what you thought of last night's debate. Sean.
It was rough. Obviously, it was a dogfight, and they were pretty nasty and just would not shut up and let each other talk. But I think, sometimes when you have a big upset in sports, like K-State beating Oklahoma, you go, did K-State win or did Oklahoma lose? And in that game, Oklahoma lost. And in the debate, did Joe Biden win or did Donald Trump lose? And I think Trump lost. Biden didn't win, but Trump lost. He messed up big time on a few big things, and I think everybody knows what they are.
I think America lost. To pull a Trump and cut you off, I think America lost.
Failing to denounce white supremacy was kind of a big problem, right? He did well in some areas in the beginning. He had some momentum, and man, towards the end, when he did not denounce white supremacists, that was a big disaster.
All right, Chris. You only used 1 minute of your 2 minutes, Sean, so you're kind of like Biden. You don't know how to fill the time. Chris.
Shut up, man. Okay. Well, hot take. I actually think in a weird way, Trump ended up better after that debate than Biden did. I don't know if you want me to go into it now, but I pontificated, but I think that I don't think anybody won independent voters last night. It was a complete poop show. But I think Trump did nothing to upset his base. If anything, they're just as fired up as before. I think Biden is going to have to take a lot of phone calls from the Bernie camp about the things that he said about how I'm not in favor of a Green New Deal. He's going to have to face issues with not answering the Supreme Court packing question. He said that he does not want to defund the police and said the riots are bad and violence is bad, which is going to piss off Antifa. He said he's not in favor of socialized medicine, like I am the Democratic Party. I make the decisions. Yeah, sure you do, Joe. But I think that he runs the risk of upsetting his base more than Trump. And this is going to be more about who gets their base out, not who wins this marginal independent percentage in the middle. I think most independents have started to lean towards who they want before this debate.
So, Sean, you had said that you had some chess game Steve Bannon like take on last night. Then what was it then?
Well, because I was afterwards last night, I was like, that was a disaster. What are they thinking? And so if I give them the benefit of the doubt and go, let's pretend that they were thinking. Let's pretend that this was all exactly how they wanted it to go down. What the hell were they thinking? And why? And so one theory is they don't want anybody to watch the second or third debate. So viewership's probably going to go down after that. I don't think too many people want to tune into 90 more minutes of that twice. So that's one possibility, is just to create apathy, right? For apathy amongst voters. And like you said, Chris, nobody really won over the independents last night. And for Trump's case, maybe he doesn't want the independents, and he just thinks he has a strong enough base to get it done without getting any moderate votes. And he's thinking that people that want the status quo and are I'm not really motivated enough to go vote. We'll just see what happens, and I'll let everybody else decide who wins. So that's a possibility. I do think Trump keeps playing this card of I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose, because he wants his voters to think he's going to lose. And he wants Biden's voters to think Biden's going to win, because if everyone in the Democratic Party thinks, oh, Biden's got this thing done, it's so easy, he's going to win by a landslide, 10% or more margin of victory is what the prediction markets say right now, a lot of them might stay home and not get out and vote because, he's got this thing locked up. And then all the Trump's voters that are like, I want him to win so bad. He's going to lose. I got to get out and vote. And maybe it's just enough, right? It worked last time. So I think he's going with what worked for him the first round, with this approach of let's just hope that, my voters don't think I'm going to win, so they get out and vote. Biden's voters think he will, and they stay home. That's the chess game I think maybe he was trying to play.
All right, so here's my take. I wrote a lot of notes last night during the debate. Haven't really edited them, but I think there was a lot in there to unpack. The debate itself was a disaster and a mess. I think everyone agrees it was ridiculous. Everyone I've spoken to today, by and large, are either moderate or tend to lean conservative. And I think everyone is disappointed with Trump's performance. I think a lot of people were looking at Trump, and the biggest thing that they were disappointed with, and my biggest disappointment, was missed opportunities. I'm not kidding when I say, I think if you had put me on the debate stage instead of Trump, I would have knocked out Biden 8 different times. I just felt like Trump didn't prepare. That's my overall quick analysis. Was Trump could have crushed Biden, and he missed huge opportunities to throw knockout punches, and I didn't understand why. To Chris's point, I heard someone yesterday in the analysis afterwards say this is a base race, and Trump won the base. Trump really drove further into his base. Biden was a little bit all over the place, and to Chris's point, he bailed on defund the police. He bailed on the Green New Deal, wouldn't talk about the Supreme Court, and in a lot of ways didn't inspire his base. But I don't think anyone, like you said, really hit independence. I think this idea that there's a lot of independents might not actually be true. I don't know that anyone doesn't know what Trump or Biden stand for. I think most people have decided what they're going to vote for. They're watching the debates to see if they're right. And I think both people found out last night they're just pissed that we have 2 candidates, and maybe I don't even like either of them, but I'm going to end up voting one way or the other. Either I'm conservative, so I'm just going to vote for Trump, or I hate Trump, so I'm not going to vote for him. That's really what it's going to come down to. Here are all of my thoughts. My fear, I think Biden might bail, and I said this originally, if he survives the first one, I think he bails on the last 2 because he doesn't stand to win anything, and he could lose. I don't know how they'll pull it off. I'm afraid he bails on the next 2. That's my biggest fear. I think he did well, and I know you guys are shaking your heads, but the fear was he wasn't going to show up to this first one. But after he did, and he showed that he's still actually alive and has a pulse, although he did look like he was on death's door, does he bail on the second one and the third one? Jill Biden wearing the mask at the end to come up and hug her husband, I thought was such an obnoxious, stupid. They got to stop playing this, I'm going to wear a mask to show the world. Like, you're up there on stage like 30 feet from anyone, and you're hugging your husband and you're wearing a mask. Like, take the mask off. It looks ridiculous. Like,
hold on a second. Nobody wants to get some other girl's headlights on her lips, okay? So I get it. Guy's been sniffing so much hair, like, she gotta be careful.
So I think Biden, ironically, I thought Biden was by far the most hypocrite between the two of them. Some of the things he said I thought were ridiculous, like Trump needs to come out of his bunker. Is that what the Democrats do? Is they look at what they're doing wrong and they just say the other group is doing it? You're a racist. Wait, but actually black unemployment rate's going down. Well, you're a racist. And you need to leave your bunker. What are you talking about? Trump is at these rallies every day across the country. Biden, you haven't left your house past 9 a.m. in like a month. Like, what do you didn't make any sense. But Trump never hit him on it. He let him say it 3 times, never once hit him back. And I thought that could have been handled really, really well. Biden said Antifa is just an idea, which I thought was ridiculous, not an actual group. 9/11 calls should have a sociologist come to them. How many 9/11 calls do we have nationwide? Do you know the cost of having a psychologist at each of these calls with the police? Like, that's such a stupid idea. He didn't answer packing
I did not know that it was called 9/11, by the way. I learned that last night.
Hold on. Somebody's coming in to ask you about your relationship with your father. He'll be right there. Hold on.
Like, if we're ever in an emergency and anyone's with us and you say call 9/11, it's going to throw me off. I'm like, 9/11? Isn't it 111?
Do you guys think anyone's buying the whole, like, oh, you have such a bad economy now, it's your fault? And it's like,
no.
You're just skipping the whole pandemic thing? Like, do you think anyone buys that?
Hang on. Ooh, I think my power might be coming back on. But so then what else did he say? He didn't talk about packing the courts. He lied about Hunter Biden, and he stumbled a bunch. Biden bailed on the Green New Deal to fund the police. He mumbled and stumbled a lot, but he wasn't crazy awful bad. Now, for Trump let Biden hit him way too much on COVID, and I don't know why he didn't hit back. He like 3 or 4 times, maybe the whole time, Biden kept talking about how there was blood on Trump's hands due to how he handled COVID. And I find that to be such an irresponsible attack. But Trump never debated it. He never fought back with what did he do? And how he did say at one point, but it wasn't clear enough because it was part of Trump's rants, was that Biden was the one who called his move to shut down China xenophobic. He never talked about how the initial models had 2.2 million people dying, and we're at 200,000, and it's slowing down. And so therefore, he saved 2 million lives based on whatever policy he did have. He didn't talk about any of these things because he just wasn't prepared. He spent too much time interrupting and came across exactly what people don't like about him. He only talked about Biden with the super predator from 1994 statement. He could have talked about Biden saying he's going to put you back in chains. You ain't black enough if you don't vote for me. And he talked about how Hispanics think, individually, and blacks all just vote the same. He never talked about any of those quotes over the last year, but he talked about one from 1994. I couldn't understand. And then he was talked about this white supremacist. Why didn't Trump just come out and say, just 3 days ago, I named him in an executive order, the KKK, as a terrorist organization, as well as Antifa, which you, Joe, just said was just an idea. Why didn't he say that?
That was a bad move. You know what it felt like? It felt like when we were going on stage to do one of the speeches we've done 1,000 times for our old company, and we know it so well, so we don't do any preparation. You're like, man, I probably should have looked over the notes a little bit, just check the slides just to make sure. Like, I could have done that better. It just seemed like he was doing a media presser without realizing it's a debate. He was jabbing the whole time, and if there was ever a right cross in there, you didn't feel it because it was such a flurry. So he didn't let Joe talk enough to get those really good pointed jabs in. So you couldn't really, nothing really sunk in. I found myself at one point going, I'm listening so intently to hear what Trump's saying that I can't even hear what Biden's saying. You can only really listen to one or the other. It was hard to listen to both. So I can see why once I listened to Biden, it feels great about it, but it's just that obnoxious political platitude junk, which is boring to me, but I guess great for the left. And I just love the authenticity of Trump. It's just very raw. That being said, I don't know. Maybe the strategy was just let's just try to get under his skin. Let's try to rattle him, which he did a bit by the end, but Biden held up better than I thought he would.
And now here's the last thing: does anyone in America right now know how either of them are going to govern for the next 4 years? We know what they've done in the past because that's all they talked about. But at no point did they talk about actually how they're going to fix the world. And frankly, they talked about stuff that had no substance. So my overall, you want me to boil the whole thing down? They both sucked. They both were bad. I'm terribly disappointed at the lack of preparation Trump has. We put more preparation into these podcasts and the nine listeners we have than Trump did in this debate. They both sucked. However, the one thing I will say, the most important single thing to our democracy that was talked about at that debate, by far single most important thing to our democracy, is the courts, and do they pack the courts or not? That is a fundamental change in how our country will run. Whether taxes go up by a smidge or down by a smidge, those things will have minor short-term impacts on people's pockets, very minor. And as much as we make them out to be big, they are relatively minor. However, if they pack the courts, change the filibuster, or add Puerto Rico and D.C. as states, which the Democrats have said they would do if they take over the Senate and the White House, those will fundamentally change our democracy. They will, like for the rest of our lives, they will end what we know as normal.
One thing that I did listen to a quote unquote independent panel that was debriefing after the debate. And one thing that was mentioned by a couple people was, in terms of a question to Biden, how are you going to repeal Trump's tax cuts and not increase my taxes? Because people know darn well they saw their tax break. They saw their paycheck increase. And so that is a concern when he flat out says, I'm repealing the Trump tax cuts. Like, I don't care how much somebody else is making. That's still going to take money out of my pocket. So I think that's an issue we're underscoring,
Again, something that Trump didn't talk about was the Fed releasing, we talked about it on our last podcast, how the Fed just released their triannual wealth report that showed low income had the largest growth over the last 3 years, or the first 3 years of Trump's presidency, versus Obama's last presidency, where the highest earners had the highest growth. Why Trump didn't talk about, again, I feel more prepared for this debate than he was.
Do
real
people
quick.
respond to the stats, that stuff? And I got a question for Sean and for Taylor, but I don't know if people respond to the stat stuff as much as we'd like to think they do. They respond to sort of the generic build the wall type stuff. My question for you guys, if Biden is elected, do you think he will be run by the radical left, or do you think he will moderate towards the center and be his own man?
I think he would stay center.
I did prior, like 2 years ago, I assumed Biden was going to run. This is before he did. I assumed it would be Trump Biden. And then he started running, and it was Biden with these crazy left, Bernie and all this craziness, and Elizabeth Warren. And I remember saying, man, I hope it's Biden, because he's the only one who, if we lost, he's like pretty center. I think he'll just be this, old guy in the office and not really do much. It'll be 4 years of a waste of time, and then we'll move on to someone new. That has not been the Biden we have seen. He very much feels like he's a puppet for AOC and Bernie and Elizabeth Warren than he does. And then Kamala Harris, his choice. Pretty radical.
He didn't come across that way last night, but real quick, just to make sure we're all on the same page. This isn't a hard question to answer. Do you denounce white supremacy?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm on the same page. He bombed that so hard.
I don't know. It's tough to say because you always run to the right or the left of primary. You run to you center off in the general. That's traditionally what's happened, even though those extremes have gotten more extreme. I'm a little 50-50. I used to be like he's totally run by the left. Certainly in terms of the election and what he's trying to say to get elected, yes. I don't know, man. The guy's been entrenched in what he does for a long time. He's been pretty vanilla in Congress, hasn't done a whole lot. Like, I'm not nearly as afraid of Biden getting elected president as people are, Trump are afraid of Trump getting elected. Like, I'm not looking at it like the whole country's going to burn up in flames.
I am, and here's why. Because if the Senate, I'm more afraid of the Senate and him.
If they control the House, Senate, and the presidency, then I'm obviously more concerned. I'm concerned at any time, but I don't anticipate that happening.
So, Sean, to your point, isn't that an easy question? Denounce white supremacy? Wouldn't it be just as easy a question for Biden then to denounce Antifa? Both of them did it. He said Antifa wasn't even real. It was just an idea. Both of them stupidly, who both want to play up that they like don't want, race, we're fine, we're good, we're not divided. And both of them.
Yeah, Wallace really followed up though and hit Trump hard with that one. He's like, "Look, this is your chance. Like, you kind of dodged the question. You're talking around it. I'm just going to ask you point blank, boom." And he fired the direct shot, and Trump was like, well, let me answer without answering your question.
I agree.
I think now, if in the follow-up debate, whoever's moderating it, hopefully Joe Rogan, says to Biden, but I think we know what he's going to say, right? I think he's going to say, no, I don't support that, because he already said I don't support the violence, and I don't agree with the violence.
No. Hang on. You're doing this. You're now doing Biden's work for him the same way as Trump's surrogates will do his work for him. Trump, again.
Everything that Biden got hit with on do you stand for this hardcore left thing, he folded like a lawn chair. And to Chris's point, that might have hurt him a little bit.
No, he came out and said Antifa's not even a group. They're just an idea.
I watched it. He didn't say it like that, right? He was on his ramblings and going, oh, well, I don't know. It's like, that's not a group. His point, it's not a group. It's kind of a starfish organization. It's not a leader organization. It's a non-hierarchical, random collection of people that all probably hate each other.
How is that random collection of people getting pallets of bricks and U-Haul trucks delivered on time with material?
There's something there.
Hey, Sean, quick question. Yeah. Do you denounce Antifa?
Yes.
Okay. See, but again, both sides.
Stand down and stand by, Antifa. Not a good line. Again,
let's move off. I think they both sucked. And I agree. I think Trump blew that question, but I think Biden did too. I just don't get why that's such a hard question. Hey, crazy rioters from BLM and Antifa, stop. Hey, crazy white supremacists, stop. It's an easy answer, and 90% of America agree. It's the crazy 5% on the right, the crazy 5% on the left. I don't get why they pandered to either of those.
One thing I'm surprised Trump didn't do that I thought would have crushed is when we were talking COVID, he never pitched it as a win. He said, well, we're doing this stuff. We're going to get the vaccine out there. But he never looked at the camera and said, hey, forget about the debate. America, I just want to thank you, all you first responders, all the doctors on the front lines, everybody in the cabinet helping navigate these decisions. This has been really difficult. And I was told 2 million people might die. And I feel like we have done a great job. And I want to thank everybody out there on both sides. This has been a really tough year for everybody. And thank you. Okay, back to the debate. What were we talking about? He could have gotten 10 points for that. It's so easy.
He just is who he is, man. I don't know that there's any changing it. He is who he is, and it's gonna work or it isn't. I don't think there's a way to really change it. I will say the lack of an audience, I think, hurts Trump tremendously, though. Tremendously.
Yeah.
Like he feeds off of the oohs and the ahs and the applause and he really feeds off of it, and it's tough without that.
Yeah, I'm here's what I'm hoping for. October 15th and October 22nd. October 22nd. Working on getting us our 2 press passes, Chris.
Yeah.
Still working on that. In Nashville, we will hopefully be at that debate live and in person. But October 15th will be audience questions and more town hall. I'm hopeful that one's better because this one sucked. Both candidates sucked. I don't think it improved either of them. They both just were bad. This was bad. Biden still stumbled and mumbled and kind of was crazy Uncle Joe. But Trump was abrasive, rude, and bully. They just were bad. And there was no policy talked about whatsoever. Trump was unprepared. Biden lied. It just was bad. I was disappointed in it altogether. So let's move off of that. Let's talk about things that are a little bit more fun, but hopefully you guys will all get prepared.
The prediction markets real quick. I don't know if anybody's paid attention to that, but the reaction in the prediction markets on the 26th, so just 4 days ago, Biden was at 57 cents. Trump was at 47 cents on the dollar to buy a win. Since the debate, it's really been going up like crazy today for Biden. Biden's up to 62 cents. Trump's down to 42. So big separation in the prediction markets. So the bettors are feeling that Biden won the debate. We'll see how the second and third ones go. But
I
don't think Biden won. I think Trump lost it.
I will heavily suggest put money into the Trump one right now. It's not going to get lower than 42 or 41. Put your money in now because it's going to go back up.
You may want to sell before the election, but it's probably going to move in the upward direction in the next week.
So moving on, let's do, I was going to do role model or fail model and talk about Biden saying Antifa is just an idea and Trump tells the Proud Boys to stand down, stand by. Role model or fail model?
Both fails.
Yeah, both fails. What about Wallace? Role model or fail model?
A fail model.
Would you believe I didn't think he did as bad as I'm seeing people react to him the day after? I think part of it is I think there were moments where he was going to press into Biden a little bit, but Trump cut off Wallace before he could press into Biden to get more answers. Trump was just so defensive at that point. He didn't let Wallace even try to do that. But, to Trump's credit, Wallace did continue to press Trump on things without continuing to press Biden on things. So I'm changing my tune after really looking at it closer, but I didn't feel like it was horrible, and it's probably only going to get worse.
Yeah, I thought Wallace did a not great job. He was okay. I thought he let Biden off a little too much. He was too hard on Trump, too easy on Biden. But I thought Trump deserved more of his cut him off, but I thought it was a little bit one-sided, but not much.
I don't think any single moderator would have done a better job shutting either of them up, by the way. I just think that's how the first debate was going to go. I don't think that was for lack of Wallace trying to, get some decorum going, even if it was slanted, in favor of Biden. I don't think anybody would have been able to control that well.
On the whole 3D chess thing, too, one other thought I forgot to add in earlier is
4D chess, but
everyone after 4D chess, there we go. Everyone after the debate, both channels, I was flipping back and forth between Fox and CNN, all they were talking about was Trump. So that's the interesting part of this is, is he doing the same thing he did last time where regardless of what he says, good or bad, or doesn't say, is that what he's going for is just everybody talking about him and he loves the fame and the notoriety and all the press.
Yeah. Maybe. It's possible. That is possible. All right, let's get into sports. We got some sports updates. We got some good fun topics. Chris, you'll be excited to hear we got COVID on the brain.
Oh my God, not again.
It's not going away. COVID is here to stay. Sucks.
It's never been here. It's a farce. Let's move on.
All right, so the Titans and Steelers game is being postponed due to a strong case of the flu, which they are calling COVID-19. There was an outbreak with the Tennessee Titans. I believe it was 3 players and a few staffers with the Titans have tested positive, and they played the Minnesota Vikings this weekend, although all Vikings have tested negative. However, the Titans and Steelers game, which was planned to be played on Sunday, is being postponed. They're talking about a potential of Monday or Tuesday game. Do you think it'll be played on Monday or Tuesday?
No, it's going to be a bye week for them.
So you think what if the Steelers and Titans have differing bye weeks?
I'm sure they'll be able to figure it out, but they're going to do a bye week.
That feels like a lot of moving parts here if they have different bye weeks.
When fantasy football is calling it a bye week, it's a bye week.
So you're saying fantasy football has already written this off as their bye week for these players?
Yep.
All right. Sean, what are your thoughts on COVID? Do you think this is going to start to pop up more and more?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's the kind of an afterthought that the Titans played the Vikings, and the Vikings closed their facilities on Tuesday and went to virtual meetings today with players instead of practicing, but they're reopening on Thursday. How is it that a Vikings player hasn't tested positive yet? It's likely that one of them will, and now you've got, whoever they play the next week. I feel like the outbreak is going to hit the NFL just like it did Major League Baseball. You're going to miss
it hasn't hit college football yet.
Well, there's also some news that they're maybe not testing all that stringently and not reporting it if they do.
I would love that. I think that would be awesome.
That's Mizzou just came out and said the SEC doesn't really have a system for testing, and there's no real group that they're reporting to at the SEC. It's just kind of on the schools to handle it internally.
Good. I'm okay with that.
Sounds
So
like a
this
bunch of
is our
grown men
first
to me.
game. We had the two in Major League Baseball that were significant, right? The Cardinals and the Marlins, and they figured that all out. In fact, the Marlins and the Cardinals both in the playoffs. Sounds like COVID is working in their favor.
The reverse
MLB
COVID
playoffs.
curse.
What?
The reverse COVID curse.
Yeah, exactly, right? Well, and now part of it, too, is those teams had to play a lot of the 7-inning doubleheaders. I wonder how that worked in their favor, because now the Cardinals were supposed to be a good team, but the Marlins were not. They were supposed to be one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball, and they're playing the Cubs in the playoffs. We'll see how it goes, but they made the playoffs. White Sox started their playoffs yesterday, and they're actually starting their second game right now, and they looked awesome. Didn't miss a beat. Lucas Giolito came out and pitched like a monster. 6 perfect innings to start the game, and they won their game. And Bieber for the Indians, the likely Cy Young winner, looked horrible in his game. Gave up, I believe it was 7 earned runs in the first couple innings, and Bieber got the hook. So any thoughts to having playoffs this early and how it might change the scope of baseball? 8 teams making the playoffs, only 60 games under their belt, more, less injury risk, things like that. Do you think it'll change baseball's playoffs this year?
No, I think the Dodgers are the team to beat. They're going to win it.
Okay. All right. How about this one? The Trubisky era in Chicago looks like it's done. Trubisky was benched on Sunday. Bears come back. Had an awesome comeback win against the Falcons. And they have
quarterback Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, he was our number 2 overall draft pick, in case you were unaware. And we picked him ahead of, I don't know if you've heard this story yet, ahead of Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. We traded up.
Oh, yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. So it looks like the Trubisky era is done, and we will be back on the board drafting a quarterback this year yet again. How does Ryan Pace keep his job as the Bears general manager, Chris?
No.
He's going to go. There's no way he keeps his job. Does Trubisky have a job next year as a backup or otherwise, do you think?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of guys in the league. Jimmy Clausen stuck around for a while. He'll land somewhere.
Yeah,
Like
Alex. I mean, look at Alex.
Career.
Look at Alex Smith. Actually, Alex Smith turned out, number 1 overall pick, was a total bust for the 49ers, and then turned out to be great for the Chiefs. We'll see.
Long-term prognostication. We'll have to come back to this one in maybe a decade. Will Trubisky win more games as a starting quarterback for not the Bears than he did for the Bears? I'm going to say yes.
Ironically, Trubisky had a pretty strong winning record as a starter for the Bears.
I'm going to say yes.
I would say yes, he will.
Well, I just want to say the Bears quarterback currently has just as many Super Bowl MVPs under his belt as Aaron Rodgers. So watch out.
That's a good point. All right. And then I have one last request. Can we please get rid of ties in football? What is with the NFL having a tie? We had another tie this week. It was the Eagles and Bengals, right? Tied.
Yeah, they both deserved to not win, so it kind of made sense actually. But I agree with you that the ties have gone up since the 10-minute overtime was instituted. Ties have gone up. It used to be rare for there ever to be a tie. Now there's a couple a year.
So let's go this route. What college rules would you like to see in the NFL, or vice versa?
I love the Kansas City overtime, the college overtime that allows games to go into like the 6th overtime is some of the most exciting games that you watch. Are those games that go to 6 or 7 overtimes? Because in college football, you have the Kansas City overtime, which for those of you who don't know what that is, both teams get the ball at the 25-yard line and try to score. And then the other team gets to try to equal that. They keep going and going and going until there's at the end of one of those overtimes.
Yeah, I mean, the problem I have with that is is from a fantasy football perspective or from a record keeping perspective. I don't want to see a bunch of records start to fall because somebody had 29 touchdowns this year running back, and he had like 8 in 2 different overtime games. That not that would happen exactly that way. It's just there's got to be a way to do it that's not 7 overtimes. How do you do that without it going that far?
I think you force teams to go for 2 more often. You do 2-point conversions. I mean, there's ways to do it. I like the college rules. But I do think we got to get rid of the tie in the NFL. All right, so let's move on.
Why not? How about that? Sort of like a soccer penalty kick. Let's do 2-point conversions until you don't get one. It's like the penalty kicks of the NFL.
That's like wind sprints, though, across the field. Running 1 2-point conversion, then racing to the other end of the field to do the same thing.
No, you could almost have the defensive and offenses set up both sides, and you go, all right, you get your defense and your offense over here. You get your defense and your offense over here. We're going to run a play over here. You scored. Okay. Other guys go. Oh, they didn't score. Game's over. First team won. Both teams get a try.
I am surprised that the NFL hasn't looked at what the XFL did and adopted some of the unique kickoff rules, 1-point, 2-point, 3-point try rules, things like that. They adopted almost nothing.
You do a second, after the first 15 minutes. All right, if there's no score, the second 15 minutes, you're not allowed to punt or kick field goals.
There you go. Done. Chris, you're our commissioner. All right, Sean. Serious or satire? Let's get into the serious or satire. We're going to look at some of the news of the week, and Chris and I will decide if they're real or fake.
We just have a couple. Frontier Airlines offering free flights to Orlando if your name is Orlando.
Satire.
Serious.
Month of October. If your first or last name is Orlando, Frontier will fly you to Orlando for free. So what the heck is that? Like, what kind of marketing department came up with that?
No idea. Well, didn't Pizza Hut give like free pizza to Karens?
Domino's, and they got
because there was a flight to nowhere that sold out within like 10 minutes. You just go up in a plane for 14 hours and then land in the same place. Look at it. Yeah. Yes, there was a flight to nowhere. Yeah.
It's just a plane ride, basically?
Just a plane ride. Yeah.
I might do that if I could skip the next debate. If it was during the debates, I just flew and then I land.
Can you use points? Can you get points on your flight to nowhere? I think it's 0 miles.
What do we got next?
All right. We got a wonderful company, the wonderful company in California, offering $1 million for the best idea to recycle 50,000 tons of pomegranate husks.
Satire.
Serious. So for those of you out there that have a good idea, they're a juice company. They have a lot of leftover pomegranate husks, and they don't know what to do with them. They're filling landfills. Come up with a good idea. They'll give you $1 million.
So pomegranates are not fat. They're just husky.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Quite round, but just husky, not fat.
Excellent.
Good one.
Continue.
That's all we got.
All right, I got one real quick. Kamala Harris names Tupac the best rapper alive.
Oh, that's satire. She would have said Notorious B.I.G.
Serious.
That is serious.
Probably alive.
Yeah, well, if she was the DA, he would have been in jail. He wouldn't have been able to have a career.
So maybe she knows something we don't about the Tupac figure community. All right, on to our prognostication station. Here's the big news really from the debate, and I've been holding this off to talk about it here. We made a big deal about this. In fact, we even got, we wrote into Outkick the Coverage, and Clay Travis, he posted it as one of his questions in the mailbag about the debate and the ratings. 84 million was Hillary Trump debate. It was a record for most viewers. and we were debating, would it reach over 100 million? Would it top 100 million this time? Most people believe this would be a record-shattering debate. And so far, the ratings are not good.
It appears it will not even reach the record of last time.
Yep. So we are definitely all wrong with the ratings, but so was everyone else. I think everyone thought this would be really, really highly viewed.
Yeah.
What does that say to you? I'm shocked personally. What does that say to you?
Well, that's an interesting question. Kind of makes me feel better about the debate being a total poop show.
I agreed with that. But what it says to me, I think there were less people, like to Chris's point, that were independents and were tuning into the debate to find out which way they wanted to vote.
I think you're right.
I think if you had a lot of the country wondering what to do, what to think, what are these two candidates about, I think everyone knew what these candidates were about. Joe Biden is losing his faculties, but I hate Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, I just hate you. Like that's how people are thinking right now, and I don't think they needed to tune into the debate to see that.
Well, and with how much Trump is in front of the press every day, it's like you're already getting a debate almost like through text message where Trump says something, then the Biden camp says something. It's like you're almost already getting all this information already. Like none of this information was new to me. Everything Biden said was anticipated or expected. Everything Trump said was relatively anticipated. So I don't doubt that. And yeah, I did not catch a lot of my neighbors watching the debates or itching for the debates.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the last debate with Hillary, it was sort of a boxing match of you've got this outsider, it's kind of like the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight or the McGregor-Mayweather fight where, Hillary was Mayweather, Trump's McGregor. He's this outsider. How's he going to handle this lifetime career, establishment person that's, running the country and from behind the scenes and pulling all these strings. And then this one was like, okay, we know he's going to beat up the old guy. And I just don't really want to see him beat up this old guy. That's kind of mean. So
what do you remember from that debate with Hillary? I only remember two things.
I really remember two. Crooked Hillary. I remember that.
I remember Trump standing over Hillary, like his physical presence being like over her was a big topic of the debate too.
I remember because you'd be in jail. I remember that line. And then I remember the only Rosie O'Donnell line. That's all I remember.
That was with Megyn Kelly, right?
Yeah, that was with Megyn Kelly.
Yeah. All right. So, Chris, you had a prognostication.
We kind of already prognosticated on them through our other topics, so I'm dead there.
Okay.
Prognosticate on how did the Titans get COVID?
Ooh. How did the Titans get COVID? I'm thinking it definitely had to do with one of the guys trying to get with his girls,
To be more specific, they were sharing Odell Beckham's girlfriend and/or prostitute. I mean,
or maybe he got his condoms from Vietnam. I'm just saying.
A strong possibility.
I'm just saying. For those of you who did not watch our last podcast, check out Serious or Satire if you would like to understand the context of that. All right. And by the way, did the Titans Vikings game, was that in Minnesota or was that was in Minnesota? So my best guess, that's how the Titans got it. So far, that's what's happened to all of these guys is when they're on the road, they go hang out with their Minnesota girl and,
Yeah.
So that's how they got it. All right. I have one. We are 3 weeks through the NFL schedule. And I know it's early, and we will probably do a few more of this, or we'll come back to this. Tell me who you have for the Super Bowl. Yeah, I got you.
Seattle Seahawks.
Okay.
Versus the Chiefs.
Okay, I think I have the Chiefs. Hard to go against the Chiefs at this point. They look absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah,
so I have
the Ravens in Baltimore. Not that matters anymore without fans at games, but they looked amazing. And now there's always the caveat of barring injury. Chiefs lose some key players, things can change pretty quickly. But right now, I think it's Chiefs Seahawks.
Okay, Chris?
The Buffalo Bills and the Chicago Bears.
They are both undefeated. So he's counting on many teams in the South getting COVID because they're not doing a whole lot to stop it. Nobody's wearing masks, and they're all just going to get wiped out.
Really?
That's what you're.
Really?
That's the only way the Bears and Bills are in the Super Bowl.
Really? But there was such a CNN comment in the South. It's in the South, and they're not wearing masks. Really, Joe? You should
The
look up
Cowboys.
the videos of
You know,
Joe.
Jerry Jones is wearing a mask in the box. It's kind of that surprised me. I'll just say that.
Well, yeah. All right, so I got Chiefs for sure, 100% Chiefs, and I will go. Certainly not going to be. I was debating the Washington football team just to get back at. It's definitely not going to happen. No, it's definitely going to be the Chiefs. I think the Seahawks are a good pick. I hate to say it.
No defense.
I hate to say it. The Packers look pretty good.
No defense.
Well, the Packers, the first team in NFL history to put up over 30 points in their first 3 games without a single turnover. They're going to turn the ball over at some point, and they're going to start losing. Their defense does not look great. The Seahawks look pretty good all around.
Well, plus Rodgers is about to get on his period again, so they're going to start losing again. It's all grumpy and menstrually and crampy.
He's playing very, very well right now without too many weapons. They did not draft the receiver everybody thought they would draft, and they haven't really utilized A.J. Dillon at all.
Yeah. All right. So
NBA Finals, who do you got?
What'd you say?
NBA Finals, I'm going Lakers in 5.
Lakers,
The other team, in case you haven't been paying attention, is the Miami Heat.
Lakers in 6. Oh, that wants Miami to win.
I refuse to comment about the NBA until they stop
Boycotting. Got it.
Yeah. Completely
Last prognostication on the NBA Finals is MVP. And this is actually a much tougher prognostication than who's going to win it because you got LeBron or Anthony Davis. I'm going Anthony Davis.
It'll be Davis, I think.
Can you guys seriously, like, you live with yourselves? Like, you can wake up in the morning after talking about the NBA. I'm so disgusted with that stupid league. And
I died inside a long time ago, Taylor. Nothing bothers me anymore.
Bam Adebayo is going to be the MVP. All right.
You mumbled your words there. Who?
What?
Did you mumble there?
No. Bam Adebayo is.
That's a player?
Yeah.
He's actually really good.
Sound effect in an old Batman show. Like, geez.
He's really good.
All right. On to our top 5. We have a good one. Top 5 things to make debates better. What could make debates better? I mean, pretty much anything. Probably just better people at them. But ways that we're going to help America, and we're going to make debates better. We're going to do a snake draft. Sean, you go first with your number 5.
You did say better candidates. That you stole one off my top 5, so I'm gonna have to audible. But we'll go with mute the mic of the person that's not talking. Like, we have the technology to do this. You can do it in Zoom. You can do it on a big fancy news production stage. Why do they have their both mics on when they're each given 2 minutes to talk? That solves the problem real quick.
All right, so Chris, considering that technology exists and now Sean has made us aware, we need to utilize that and mute him more often.
Yeah.
Just pop that up here.
Only for
Oh, I can't hear you, Taylor.
Oh, pay your power bill. Oh, I don't have a job. I can't put groceries on the table. I see your kids wandering looking for food scraps in the back.
See how easy that is?
Do you need some help? Do you need some cash?
Really hurt again? You don't want to help out, huh?
Did your EBT card come in the mail yet? Do you know?
My Link card, I believe it's called. All right. Number 5. My number 5. We definitely need a halftime show and commercials.
What would the halftime show consist of?
I think you would have like 2. You'd either have like super woke entertainer, and then you got to have country music because that's the only entertainer that Trump can get right now. So you'd have those 2 go off.
So we'd have girls that look like girls, and they'd have girls that are dudes or look like dudes.
Correct.
Is that okay? Yeah, okay. I can get down with that. They should tell you which is which, and you have to figure it out. Right?
but think about how much
you usually lose when you play that game.
Well,
But think about how much cooler that would make the debate. If there was like a killer halftime show and commercials that everyone wanted to see the funny commercials.
What halftime show have you ever enjoyed in the past?
I'm not saying me, but it would get big groups of people together for fun.
I suppose. Okay. All right. My number 5, a burn meter. So, some sort of technology that allows us to text or vote in real time. You get maybe call it 1 per half hour. So you got to be selective with when you want to vote for your burnometer, right? And so when somebody gives a sick burn on stage, the burnometer goes up, ooh, sick burn, but you couldn't have unlimited votes or just each side would be voting burn all the time, so. I
like that. That's good. What's your number 4?
Number 4 is changing the format to a Yo Mama type format, Yo policy so stupid, it's kind of what it felt like. Might as well just go to that.
All right. My number 4. I want the debates, some of it to stay the same. However, why they don't add in some physical challenges like Fear Factor? Where you have to answer the question, but you're sitting in a box filled with rats.
American Gladiator.
Sort of I want to interrupt, but I have to eat a donkey penis first, or something like
Correct.
that. Yeah.
Correct.
I like that.
I mean, I think it would make it way cooler.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So my number 4 is that we replace one of the debates with a Jeff Ross roast of each candidate.
Ooh. I like that.
That would be
amazing.
Awesome.
On a serious note, number 3, why don't we just have them submit yes or no answers prior to the debate to some questions? Are you going to pack the court? Yes or no? Are you going to have a nominee before the election? Yes or no? Do you want socialized medicine? Yes or no? Do you support white supremacy? Yes or no? Submit the answers before the question. The question comes up. We go, you already answered this. Explain your answer. You already answered. I feel like so much of the debate is spent going, what is your answer? No. You didn't answer the question. Give us an answer. So
yeah, but then you can't. Then that would lose the cliche of you're so political. Because
I don't know, I kind of like that idea for some stuff. Each opponent gets to submit 5 questions, the other one has to answer.
That's not exactly what I said, but I like that too.
Was that Chris's way of sliding into his honorable mention?
Yeah.
You could give a question Joe Biden, are you a pedophile or do you hate black people? Got to choose one.
That was how Chris sort of packed the top 5 was, he's going to go ahead and make it the top 7. That's usually my move, but.
That's very much a Sean move. All right. My number 3, cooler venues. What if we did it at the Duncan Correctional Facility in the general population? Think about if they were in the mess hall of a prison, how scared those candidates would be, and I just think it would make it a lot cooler. Or
military base.
Or I have no idea which half of the halftime show those guys would prefer either. So.
Yeah, I mean, I like the. Sports has done it, right? The NHL has their outdoor game. Major League Baseball tried to do the Field of Dreams game this year, so maybe the politicians debating somewhere better.
Yeah. All right, Chris.
This one's sort of been said, but it was you're allowed to interrupt, but you're charged a foul, kind of like in basketball, right? So for every time you want to interrupt, you have to get an arm slap. Nothing crazy, but somebody's got to slap the shit out of your forearm, right? For interruptions 6 through 10, it's a 5-star to the back, and it's got to go bare skin. And interruptions.
We've done that in Mexico.
And interruptions 11 through 15, it's a slap to the face. So you can interrupt as many times as you want, but you got to get the son of a gun. Okay, I disagree, and you're a liar. Whoa, that hurt.
I like that. What's your number 2?
My number 2, a little bit more serious. I kind of want to see the NBC and Fox hosts do a debate afterwards about who won the debate. I mean, we both know what they're going to say, but getting on, but they have to do a debate stage of the debate.
So that actually leads to my number 2, and this was my only real serious one of all of them, was allow the surrogates to chime in during the debate. So Biden could have his 2 surrogates behind him, Trump could have his 2, because again, I felt like they both missed a lot of what they wanted to say. And if there was someone who could say, hang on, let me add to what he's trying to say to you, because he's pretty much dead, and he's really just fired up beyond belief and forgetting all his numbers and hasn't prepared. If the surrogates could chime in a little bit, I think it would make it more fun. Or as you said, that NBC and Fox host could argue, because I think America just lost yesterday and no one really understood what's going on. And
and how much do you like hearing about people weighing in on what happened about a game after the game, right? Like, I like hearing all the commentary about it, but I'd love to hear both sides that are obviously on either side debating each other. So, yeah.
All right, so that was my 2. Allow surrogates to chime in. Sean, number 2 and number 1.
So my number 2 goes with the theme of the number 2, and let's get more than 2 candidates involved. Let's get that libertarian candidate out there, Joe Jorgensen, vote for a woman this year. Go Joe. And then my number 1 goes with the number 1 is let's have one debate. And now that I've got all your good ideas, it'll be a halftime show. It'll be a big event. There's an after debate with 2 debaters. There's a burn meter. But what's the point of having 3? Let's have 1. Make it a bigger deal. Make it the Super Bowl, and go all out. Maybe they need a break and it's two halves, but I don't think we need to do 3 of these.
All right, my number 1, add ring girls. I think you would increase some viewership. They do it in boxing, UFC.
That's a great idea. Will never happen. But what if we make it more interesting? Like, you got to have somebody like in your administration be the ring girl, right? So we've got, what's her name? Who's the president's spokesperson? What's her name?
Kellyanne Conway?
No. The other girl. Why is it slipping? The press.
The press secretary.
Yeah. So we've got her, and they can have Elizabeth Warren in a bikini.
All right, what's your number 1?
Hold on, I'm still getting that visual out of my head because it's getting me hot. Warren one, not the This one's easy. Just let Not So Silent moderate the next debate.
Done.
Easy. Number 1.
Done. Oh my gosh, we would crush it. And on that, thank you for tuning in again. Share this with all your friends. Share us on the socials, Facebook, Twitter. Tweet at us at notsosilentpod. And have an awesome October. Goodbye.
Serious question for you guys, though. Serious. My daughter, did the whole running up and hit me in the junk thing, right? That happens all the time. And she called it my rare square. You ever heard that before?